All right, Pastor Matthew, it is reported that the Katsina governor is about to release 150 bandits, but the people of the southeast, the Wanezendebo and the Ariwa, also the Oduduwa people kick against such movement that is a dangerous movement by the governor of Katsina. Do you agree that this is a good development? What the governor of Katsina is about to do by releasing 150 bandits?
I must say that it is good that Nigerians are waking up currently, because before now, people would have kept silent and watched how the Katsina government go ahead to release those 70 suspected bandits who are already in custody. As you see on your screen, this is a report from Punch newspaper chronicling how the Igbos, the Yorubas, the Middle Belt have totally rejected the release of those who are in captivity, who are in custody of the government, because we have it through their respective organizations, socio-political organizations like the Arewa Constitutional Forum, like the Wanezendebo, like the Afenifere, that unanimously kick against this release of these terrorists who are in custody.
Or maybe they are trying to grant them amnesty. Amnesty is
The
right.
amnesty is wrong, and the Katsina government must stop that. The reason is not far-fetched. Remember that Owo was attacked recently, where they burned down a police station. If the terrorists were addressed, arrested, prosecuted from wherever they were coming from, would they have time to start coming to our state, or sorry, Ondo State, in our local government, to start burning that police station?
Or what if this is the price for them to pay for a safety of other citizens in that state?
It is totally unacceptable. Because even as we speak, there's a report that, as you can see on your screen as well, where bandits attacked a community in Katsina State, even in the midst of this negotiation to release these 70 bandits. Whether we like it or not, what we need as a people, as a country, is to possess monopoly of coercive power to spur the bandits out of hiding places, set them running, and bring them to justice. Whether we like it or not, it makes sense to arrest, prosecute them to act as deterrent to others. It makes sense to disalive them, to neutralize them in the battlefield, to act as deterrent to others. Someone like a former governor of Kaduna State, Malam, was emphatic, and this is somebody who should know better, who once governed a state that is ravaged by insecurity, particularly occasioned by Fulani militias. He said that his own ideology is to disalive all of them, send them to their creator who have ultimate power to judge them. Come to think of it, how can you be talking of releasing terrorists who have no value for human life, judging by their modus operandi? And these are people who come all the way from Mali, Burkina Faso, Libya, as was revealed by Muhammadu Buhari while he was alive as president of Nigeria, that some of them come from Burkina Faso, Mali, Libya, particularly Libya, after the fall of Gaddafi. And he was emphatic that the only training they had, or rather they have, is how to shoot gun. So how can you be advocating for their release? I want to tell you that once you start releasing them and negotiating the manner we are seeing, you will render the Nigerian sovereign state as a weak sovereign state. What makes sense as a sovereign state is to possess monopoly of coercive power, to police every inch of your territorial integrity. Sharing such monopoly of coercive power with non-state actor renders the country a weak sovereign state. I must say it's not acceptable. More so as the president, Senator Bola Tinubu, has shown some level of sincerity in this community-based policing system, talking about forest guard. So what is now stopping states like Katsina, Zamfara, Kwara, Kaduna, Plateau from embracing the forest guard initiative? I must say that we are seeing success in Kogi State through this forest guard initiative. We are seeing it in Enugu State, because ordinarily I would have been blaming federal government, but point to the fact that federal government is now ready to divulge some level of security power to the states, and it's evident in what we are seeing. Because recently the president was emphatic where he gave the national security advisor order that you should go ahead and recruit more forest guards, train them, arm them for the purpose of fighting this insecurity. And do not forget that at some point before the whole idea of federal government going about this community-based policing system, we had a situation where the current Director General of JSS, Ajayi, whom I salute his courage, was emphatic. He's one that advised that the communities should be empowered to be the first line of defense in case of invasion. And federal government is already doing this. More so, as Nigerian government have even accepted to collaborate with American government to decimate these bandits, these terrorists. And we saw the bombing of Tangaza terrorists in Tangasa local government area of Sokoto State recently. So why will a serious state government not key into this community-based policing system? Rather, they are hobnobbing with terrorists, trying to see how they can release terrorists. I always say it. I say the only acceptable reason and time there should be negotiation between Nigerian government and terrorists is a situation where you have Nigerians in captivity, and perhaps going for their rescue will endanger their lives. Perhaps this time of that girls, the time of Chibo girls, or the time of these KB school girls, or the time of the other girls that were adopted in, of course, in Niger State. That under this scenario, where it is not clear whether you have Nigerians in captivity, you are negotiating with bandits, with terrorists. The question is not sustainable. How long do you continue that trajectory? I must say that it's not a welcome development, and I'm happy that all right-thinking members of the society are rising against it. And I want to encourage every right-thinking member of society to rise and oppose what Katsina State government is trying to do. As far as I'm concerned, this is an even win. Terrorism is an even win that blows anyone no good. If somebody should wake up and tell you that in 2025, in 2026, that Kwara State will become an epicenter of terrorism, nobody will believe it. Because when this whole issue of terrorism started in 2009, in 2010, it was restricted to Sambisa Forest, to Yobe State, to Borno State. But currently, Kwara State has become an epicenter of terrorism. And those states have become a hub of kidnapping. Look at what is happening in Ekpoma, what is happening in Uromi, what is happening in Auchi. Nobody is happy about it. So it's an even one that blow no one any good. That if you leave it unaddressed, certainly it will spread to other places. That is why the government must come together, and all Nigerians must ensure that they do not allow Kaduna State government to go ahead and release them, because this one is no longer an issue that it is in your state. Because the terrorism, the insecurity review address today will definitely spread to other parts of the country. I gave instance of
I think Mr. Mato, the question will have been, after releasing them, what next? Are you releasing into the to reintegrate them into the society, or are you releasing them for them to go back into the forest to start carrying out arms? So why is the Katsina state governor decide to release the condemned Fulani bandits?
The question of why they release them should not even arise in the first place, because law is there to prosecute them, and they have been arrested. The next thing to do, we are not saying we are not saying there should be a extrajudicial killing. What we are saying is that charge them to court, let court make pronouncement, whatever decision the court takes, let them go and face it. That's the right way to go. Because the whole essence of law and order, the whole essence of prosecution is to act as deterrent to others. But by the time you are arresting terrorists, giving them a slap on the wrist and ask to go, it will embolden other people to go into terrorism. I haven't forgotten the horror that recently we saw even some bandits, some terrorists who came out in Katsina, in Zamfara State to buy phones for themselves. They were already turning celebrities. People in that locality were rushing to catch a glimpse of them. People were rushing to take photograph with them. Because the reason is not far-fetched. Because the terrorists they were seeing then was the only coercive power the people in those localities have known in their life. The presence of government is not there. The army, the police, the DSS, they are not there. So Nigerian coercive power is not in that environment. So the only coercive power they knew is the bandits, the terrorists. So that is why they were celebrating them. But by the time you bring the might of Nigeria, like we saw in the bombing of that terrorists in Tangasa local government area of Sokoto State, you saw that it took some time before the villagers came out to start jubilating. Because initially they were trying to know whether actually the bandits have been demystified. Then when they realized that actually they bombed them and they were on the run, the people came out and started jubilating. So what we are saying is, we don't want to be living under the fear of terrorists. If you want to travel from here to Delta State, chances are that you start asking people to put in prayer, to join in prayer. That is not the kind of life we want to be living. That is why we must collectively come together to fight this menace and make sure we defeat it.
All right, Mr. Matthew, how will you rate President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration in time of insecurity in Nigeria? Because people seem to suggest that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu have really dealt with insecurity in Nigeria. Will you rate him high when it comes to insecurity in Nigeria?
I must say that he's making some efforts, but all his efforts have not yielded the much needed results. Because we can still see serious level of insecurity occasioned by Fulani militias in different parts of the country, talking about kidnapping, talking about maiming, raping, and all of that. And that is why we are looking at rejecting the architecture. Because you cannot continue doing the same thing over and expect a different result. We are talking of this one. Look at what is happening with Malam, another Fulani man. Because, you see, this question have severally been asked. why is the Fulani man at the center of all insecurity in Nigeria? Is the Fulani man the only citizens in Nigeria? If you look at their percentage in terms of population, according to Wikipedia, there are about 15 million people compared to the Hausas that are about 60 million people. The Yorubas are even more than that figure. The Igbos are still within that range. So the question is, why is it that the Fulanis, who are lesser in population, who even came last in Nigeria? Because these are people who came to this part of the country in the 14th century, and they met the indigenous people of Hausa here, they met the indigenous people of Yoruba, they met the indigenous people of Igbos, they met the indigenous people of other minority ethnic groups. So why do they have this tendency, this mentality of subjugating others? And this is what they are succeeded in doing in the northern part of the country. Now you are not seeing another Fulani man in the name of Malam. Even as I was in the opinion, I was of the opinion that what the government was doing was because Malam is in ADC. But in the light of the discovery of chunk of catch of ammunition is compound, I don't say that Malam should explain to the world the circumstances surrounding the chunk of ammunition, the catch of ammunition that was discovered in his compound. It's part of the reason I say he should come and explain to the world. Because I'm aware that when it comes to procurement of arms, particularly AK-47, AK-49, it is purely a very it's not something everybody should be getting involved in. Because whether we like it or not, the Office of the National Security Advisor gives an extra certificate that empowers anybody to procure arms at that level, even to deploy it. So how did the person who imported it get the extra certificate to do so? So we need so many questions to be answered. That's why Malam should have so many questions to answer. Because as we speak, we are battling with issue of insecurity. We have not been able to demystify how arms and ammunition come into the hands of the terrorists. I'm not directly linking this to terrorists, but the man should give us answers as to what is the arms doing in his compound. Because we are not going to relent on this. Nigerians demand that Malam give us answer to why and how those guns get into his compound. It may be through anybody, but the question is, if except otherwise, he's telling us that it was planted in his compound to implicate him. And if that is his situation, he should tell us and let us get the details. But I don't want to believe that because he's been hounded, because he's opposition, then they now discover arms in his compound. I still maintaining that mentality. This will have shifted my position on the prosecution against him, particularly on the issue of arms discovery. In the light of insecurity we are facing in Nigeria, Malam should explain to Nigeria.